Worldwide classic. I'm Southside Tre. Let's get back into it, man. So, as I was like taking some notes and kind of looking over the footage, man, getting us ready for the second part of this video, I went ahead and just checked out like some of the matches, because like I said, I really don't know the entire card, and I still don't know the entire card, because halfway looking through it, I see why I didn't know it in the first place. You know what I'm saying? To kind of reiterate why I haven't just been as interested in this year's WrestleMania. But I will say this, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said before, I'm not here to be that guy. I'm not here to be the one that just act like I have all of the knowledge on professional wrestling and trying to bash the professional people that put this together. Because I'm pretty sure it's a lot of factors that go into why certain matches are made and why certain people on the roster are getting their pushes versus others. Because tomorrow, when we do the fantasy booking for WrestleMania, I think it'll be a wrestler or two that I included that I haven't seen on TV recently, so they might be injured or something like that. So again, I keep those things in mind. But with that being said, one match that I forgot about yesterday, you know, it was kind of weird that I forgot about Drew McIntyre and I forgot about Damian Priest. And no disrespect to those guys, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm a big fan of Drew McIntyre's. You know, I feel like Drew McIntyre could really be the face of the company, in my opinion. It kind of like takes me back to the pandemic WrestleMania. The pandemic WrestleMania was the beginning of the rebirth for Drew McIntyre, in my opinion. You know, I know he did a lot of character development while he was away from WWE, and then even when he came back, initially, it still, to me, took a little time to like get the footing right. But pandemic WrestleMania 36, when he won the title, I saw the growth, and I saw a guy that killed it. Like, he killed it, like the way Cody Rhodes is getting the praise these past couple years for being the top babyface, or just the best, I guess, character you want to say. I feel the same way about Drew McIntyre from WrestleMania 36. You know, he carried the company. You know what I'm saying? I know he's mentioned that, and I feel like a few people mention it a little bit, but I think that man deserves his flowers, though. Like I said, I've been watching this for a long time. I saw a confidence, and I saw a style from Drew McIntyre that I was very impressed with. You know, he made the title look good during a time where it was almost hard to watch the product. It was almost hard to watch WWE during the Thunderdome era and empty arenas, performance centers. But every time he came out, you know, it felt like none of those things mattered. You know, he definitely commanded the screen. I even remembered the segment he did with Heath Slater. And that was like a memorable segment, because as I mentioned earlier, like I'm all about moments. So it's just a lot of moments that stick out to me. And that was always one. And shout out to Heath Slater too. That was a good promo that they did back then. And I'm only just bringing that up because it seemed like Drew McIntyre, he stayed consistent when it came to promos, when it came to his character. And over the past year, being involved with the CM Punk story and being involved with Seth Rollins, again, I'm thinking we seeing some of his best work as a heel this time. You know, during the pandemic, he carried it as a babyface. And even when I combine both of these things together, again, that's impressive, man, to be on the top of your game as a babyface and then a heel. I mean, what more can you say? So that brings me back to my point of WrestleMania 41. I like the path that Damian Priest is on too. So this is not a knock on him, but I don't love this match for WrestleMania, especially since we saw a little bit of this at last year's WrestleMania. Like, I get it, it was a cash-in for Damian Priest, so it wasn't an entire match. But at the same time, I just feel like if we were going to go this route and have these two kind of pick up where they left off at last year at WrestleMania, this is something we didn't have to wait a year to get resolved. We could have resolved this within the year. So then we could have came into WrestleMania with a clean slate, so to speak. And so I don't understand that. Like, I get it from the standpoint I just mentioned. I get it from the standpoint of long-term storytelling, if you want to call it that. I don't believe that in this case. As Jim Cornette says a lot, shout out to Jim Cornette, lazy booking, man. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, it's lazy booking without I was about to say without no disqualification, but then when I read the card, it actually is going to be a street fight. So, like Jim Cornette usually says, man, it's just lazy booking, in my opinion. But then it's disappointing, man, because when Damian Priest was with Judgment Day, matter of fact, when he won the title from Drew McIntyre with the cash-in last year at WrestleMania, I was seeing a lot of potential in Damian Priest. I really did. And I liked the whole dynamic of Judgment Day being with him having a strong group to back him up, Rhea Ripley being part of the group. I really felt like they had something. I really did, man. I thought that core, I thought we were just seeing the beginning, basically. And when he won the title, I was really seeing the growth in his character. And I'm just disappointed how that all transpired, because him and Gunther, they had a great match when Gunther eventually won the World Heavyweight Championship from him. I forget what event it was, but that was actually a good match. And but I was disappointed because I thought Damian Priest was really coming into his own. And a lot of times people say that the title don't make the man, but you know what I'm saying, that's kind of, I don't agree with that, because when you in a position that Damian Priest is in, like still kind of being new to the main roster in a way, meaning like just still trying to get his character to that point of being like a real star in the company, I felt like putting that World Heavyweight Championship on him lit a fuse in him. I felt like it cut something on in him spiritually and mentally, where you were getting the best of his work. You know, each week you were seeing the confidence grow, the promos was getting better, he was looking stronger in the ring each time. I was really impressed, you know, and I was hoping that they would have kept that on him and we could have just went a different route entirely. So even tomorrow, when we get into the fantasy booking, the Worldwide Classic fantasy booking for WrestleMania, I'm going to give you guys the person that I think that he should have had his match with. And again, it's just a shame, man, because it seemed like these little nuances don't make a difference. But they really do make a difference, because if you look at what's been happening with Damian Priest's character since he dropped the title to Gunther, to me, it hasn't been as impressive as it was before. Like, the run has kind of dried up, in my opinion. I don't even know the feuds and the things he's been involved with. So even when I looked at the card and saw that Drew McIntyre is his opponent, I was just a little, again, it brought back that feeling where it's like, damn, this is where we going? You know, we already kind of killed his momentum, and then now we just giving him a match that we could have already got out the way last year. So for Drew McIntyre, I feel the same way, man. Like, I mean, it's like, what are they trying to do? It seems like every time Drew McIntyre gets on a hot streak and he's really heating up, then they just cool him off. You know what I'm saying? They put that fire out real quick. And I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really confused by that, because I understand that, like, every dog will have his day, so to speak. You know, like, when you're a great wrestler or a great athlete, you know, you're going to get to the upper echelon eventually. So a lot of times I feel like they're kind of keeping Drew McIntyre in the back pocket, like just giving him enough to stay relevant, but then really kind of like saving him for years to come. But even if you're doing that, I mean, it's still ways you do things, and it's still, again, opponents that he should be able to have where he could, you know, kind of preserve his momentum, but also elevate somebody else. And I don't think a match with Damian Priest is going to elevate Damian Priest. And not because Drew McIntyre isn't good. It's just, again, this is one of those matches we could have got out the way already. You know, again, to me, WrestleMania is just such an important event. Where it's just like, to me, you know, you only get one WrestleMania a year. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got to really, like, make this count. This is the Super Bowl, right? So we really got to make it count, man. That's something you could get on any, what you call it now, premium live event, whatever. This is a match you can get on any premium live event. Why are we going to waste this on WrestleMania and then talking about a street fight? I mean, you could have had that on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown if that's the case. Saturday night main event, you know. But yeah, it's just disappointing, man. You know what I'm saying? I expect a lot of great things from Damian Priest, and the same from Drew McIntyre. So I hope after they get this out the way that they both have a great year. I hope they have a big year. But even back to that Judgment Day thing, it's just on my mind. It's like, man, what's happening, man? Again, and then y'all took away the most important ingredients to Judgment Day and then added Carlito. And that's not a knock on Carlito. Carlito, that's my guy, you know what I mean? And again, that's a whole nother story as well, you know what I mean? Because I could do a whole chapter about the wasted potential of Carlito from back in the day, you know what I mean? I thought back then he could be a major player. So again, these are not knocks about individual wrestlers. It's just a knock on the direction of the story with the characters. Because he makes a nice addition to Judgment Day in a way, but not enough where you had to lose Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. Like, that's the core of the group. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the core of the group. Those are the people that was the original in a way, because Damian Priest started the group with Edge. So, again, certain things to me just don't make sense. You know what I mean? And I get it. Like, who am I, right? Just a true fan. You know what I mean? That's all I am. I'm just the truest fan. But yeah, Judgment Day shouldn't have been broke up that prematurely, and we definitely shouldn't have been replacing the original members. You know what I'm saying? And then not bringing in equal counterparts. You know what I'm saying? To balance the group out. So, man, Damian Priest, man, I know, man. I hate it for you too, man. I mean, for you, I know it's a big opportunity. I know you're gonna make the most of it. And I know, like all matches, all of the matches that I'm like protesting against, I know that they're gonna be, like good matches. It's not like they're gonna go in there and, just. I know they ain't gonna go in there and just, have a bad match. But I have high expectations for WrestleMania. As a true fan, my expectations through the roof, because it's WrestleMania. You know what I mean? If we don't go hard for WrestleMania, it's like, what are we even doing there? But anyway, we could go ahead and move on to the next topic, because I really can't finish that until I get into the fantasy booking tomorrow. So we could really go into some details about the opponent and the direction we took to get there. So moving on, that brings me to, I spoke a little bit about Bianca Belair yesterday and how I feel about her direction and her match. But it brings me to Jade Cargill and Naomi. Shout out to them. Shout out to Naomi. I like this one. I like this match. This is something that definitely is WrestleMania worthy, and I'm a big fan of Jade Cargill, like I said earlier, but of course Naomi too. Naomi's been with the company for 10 years, maybe more. Like I alluded to earlier, I've watched a lot of these wrestlers get to the main roster, and I've watched their careers. I watched their career grow over time. So Naomi is one of those wrestlers. Like I watched when she came in with I forgot what they called him. It was some stupid. It was something stupid that they called him, but the big guy, Funkasaurus. See what I'm saying? Like, it's stupid. I hate that I even just said that out loud. You know what I mean? That's how dumb that name was. So Naomi, and then I forget the other young lady's name, so I apologize to her. Shout out to her. I know she was the ring announcer for FCW back then. The other young lady, they were kind of like the dancers or the cheerleaders for Funkasaurus. Again, I hate that I just said that name. So anyway, I'm just saying that to say, again, like how I follow these wrestlers' careers. So I'm proud when I see them get to this level, because without a title being on the line, without a championship being at stake, this is a big match for Naomi. And it's a big match for Jade Cargill as well. And I'm just proud. I'm proud, and I was happy to see the promo between Naomi and Bianca Belair when Naomi admitted her role in attacking Jade Cargill. I loved it, man. Like, this is WrestleMania season, and like I say, everything just been lackluster this year. Y'all could have went way harder than this. But with Naomi and Bianca, that was one of the more memorable promos from this whole build-up. I loved every minute of it. Naomi, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, man. Like, I already know you got it in you. You know what I'm saying? It's always about the company and the company, like, pushing wrestlers in a direction. But I know you got it, and I know you about to kill it as a heel. And you showed it. You showed it in that promo with Bianca. Like, you snapped. You really did. I like the things that you were saying about why you did it. I like how you showed the emotions. And, I mean, it really felt like best friends getting into it, over a third party. Like, it really did. And of course, Bianca killed it. So I can't wait to see where this story goes even after the Jade Cargill Naomi match. See, this is WrestleMania. This is how WrestleMania should be booked, because again, not only do you get a great match, but it's still more story to tell afterwards. And that's okay in this regard. That's not like, you just getting a bunch of rematches because you got the wild card with Bianca. Like, you don't know if she's gonna side with Jade Cargill or if she's gonna go back to her girl, Naomi. You know what I mean? It leaves the door wide open for so much story to be told in that. And so I love that. And then the fact that it's the women that have this type of momentum and storyline moving forward, like, I love that for them. So I'm thoroughly impressed and satisfied with this match, the build up, the potential, the future. I love it. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna just knock everything down and not give credit where credit due. WWE deserves a lot of credit for the care that they put into this whole thing with those three, because I think those three was together last year. That's why I say last year's WrestleMania a little foggy to me, so I don't remember. But now that I'm thinking about it, I think that Naomi, Jade Cargill, and Bianca Belair, I think they were all together. They might have had a match together. So I apologize to you girls for not remembering that last year, but that ain't y'all fault. You know what I'm saying? But this year, yeah, I like the direction that we went. You know what I'm saying? This is different than following up on a Drew McIntyre and a Damian Priest from last year's WrestleMania. This is a whole different dynamic. And then the fact that Jade Cargill was still new to the roster and that they trying to establish her as a top star, this is just like the perfect dynamic for her moving forward. So I'm just proud of her, man, from seeing her come to AEW. She was one of my favorite wrestlers in AEW, and rightfully so. And I hope that she gets the same treatment in WWE. You know what I'm saying? She's going to be, in my opinion, she has the potential to be the biggest star in the company in the next few years, maybe just the next couple years. So shout out to them, man. So I don't have too much to say about that one. It's just all good reviews, just good, A+, man. I'm really excited to see that match as well. I can't wait to see what they do. So we could go ahead and move on. Another one that I forgot about was Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, because I actually did watch that on SmackDown. Like, I'll go on YouTube sometime and just catch the highlights, you know what I'm saying, versus catching the whole show. Like, I used to sit down, catch the entire show and enjoy it that way. But these days, I kind of just find myself fast tracking and catching highlights via YouTube. So I did see the promo where Kevin Owens, basically told people that he was going to be out of action and that it was a pretty serious injury. So shout out to Kevin Owens, man. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, I hope we could, give him a round of applause and just show him the support, man, because he's been putting on some bangers over the past few months. And the type of injury that he's describing, and I think even what he said, that he's already had the injury, he just didn't know how severe it was. That's why I had to just applaud that man right now, because he put on some high-powered matches, especially that match with Sami Zayn, I think at an Elimination Chamber. That was a crazy match. And to do that with an injured neck or whatever, even the one he had with Cody at the Royal Rumble. Like, again, these are high-powered matches that he had, and he delivered each time. Even I want to mention this because I always talk about moments, right? One of my favorite moments recently was it was such a quick segment and maybe a small thing, but for me, I loved it. It was after he lost to Cody Rhodes at the Royal Rumble. When he lost to Cody Rhodes at the Royal Rumble, he was banged up. I think he had like a black eye. He was limping, stuff like that. And then the next night on Raw, I think Sami Zayn, he main evented against somebody. And then after the match, as they were leaving the ring, matter of fact, it was CM Punk. It was CM Punk versus Sami Zayn. And then when the match was over and they were leaving the ring, then Kevin Owens got to the ring and then he attacked Sami Zayn. And I just love that segment for some reason, because he was limping, he was beat up, you saw it in his face, and he was just like deranged. You know what I mean? It was like he really lost it, he really snapped. And I know they went that way with characters in the past, but for some reason it just resonated with his character at this time. You know, to go through that type of match with Cody, it's almost like something just snapped in his head. And then he even had the Sami Zayn Forever t-shirt on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that, man. Just the little details, because it really seemed like this man had lost it. It really seemed like he really lost his mind, you know, wearing a shirt in support of Sami Zayn, but then attacking him that way. And then he gave him the, what they called it, the package paddle driver or something like that. The package paddle driver. But the thing that always make moments great is the commentary, because it's a team effort. Again, that's why I love the business of professional wrestling, because it's a team effort. From the music to the sounds to the graphics on the Titantron or the screen, whatever you call it. It's a team effort, and all of these things have to flow in unison for you to get this product. So when I see these moments, again, I'm cognizant of all these things, and everything just came together beautifully. So I'm only saying that to say that Michael Cole killed it on the commentary for that. I love the commentary Michael Cole gave on that. You know, it almost was reminiscent of JR. Because as I mentioned earlier, JR is my personal favorite, and that's no disrespect to no other commentator, because there's actually been a lot of good ones. Wade Barrett, there's been a lot of good commentators. Shout out to Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett, he's really been impressing me over the past year. He's really been impressive, man. So I really like the commentary that Wade Barrett has been providing. And a lot of commentators have really been good since and before JR, but JR is just always, you know, it's not even a Mount Rushmore for me. JR just sits on the throne alone, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to color commentary. But with that being said, it's not like Michael Cole has to be like JR, because Michael Cole is Michael Cole, and that's good, because and that's a good thing, because he's his own person and he has his own voice. So he doesn't have to emulate JR. But it was just something about the emotion. And I think that's why we love JR so much, because not only was he knowledgeable and an honorable guy, but it was just his emotion into the commentary. You know, he made it feel real by his reaction to it. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't just calling the action. I mean, he really was feeling it. He really felt what was going on. And I got that from Michael Cole in that moment. I got that type of emotion from Michael Cole, the way that he was almost like yelling at KO. You know, as a commentator though, but he was almost like yelling at KO. Like, you know, you have to go back and see it, man. I encourage you, if you're a wrestling fan, I encourage you to pull that up when KO attacked Sami Zayn after the CM Punk match. You know, and it was a quick thing. I think it didn't last no more than like maybe 30 seconds, something like that. But it was great, man. It was effective. I loved it. So I hate to hear what's going on with KO. To bring us back to the point, I hate to hear that he's out of action, because I actually don't like the match with him and Randy Orton, because it's like the theme of my rant today. I guess you could say it's the theme of my critique, is that we keep getting these rematches in a way that we just don't need at WrestleMania. This is WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how I could emphasize that enough. Why do we keep recycling matches we've seen? We just saw that last year at WrestleMania. It was just a triple threat match with Logan Paul. But essentially, it was still KO versus Randy Orton. So, you know, it's just like one of the matches from earlier, because you got to forgive me, like I'm all over the place. But that's kind of similar to one of the matches that I was mentioning earlier. It's like, why do we keep going back to the same thing? You know what I mean? You just took away a person, but it's still KO and Randy Orton. Like, so I hate that Kevin Owens is going through what he's going through, and I hate that he's missing WrestleMania, because I know how much he respects Randy Orton, and for him it's a big honor to wrestle Randy Orton at WrestleMania, as it should be, because Randy's a legend, and we know that. We know how good Randy is. So it's heartbreaking to see that for KO. And I hate to say it like on the bright side of things, because it's never a bright side to seeing somebody going through any injury, but especially that type of injury. So, you know, over here at Worldwide Classic, we hope you get better, KO. We hope to see you back in the ring sooner than later. But with all of that being said, this does provide an opportunity, and provides an opportunity for Randy Orton to, in my opinion, finally get his just due at WrestleMania. For some reason, I feel like Randy Orton just does not get good matches at WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion. And I don't know why. Because he's definitely one of the top athletes in the company. He's a legend. But for some reason, his track record at WrestleMania with matches, they've been underwhelming. Like this entire WrestleMania. And I hate that for him. Because it's like, again, this is WrestleMania. This is where you build your legacy at. This is the history. So I really didn't want KO versus RKO at WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying? Me personally. So with KO being out of action now, this presents an opportunity for us all to experience what I mean. Because I think now, with all of the other matches being locked in, the WWE, y'all ain't got no choice now. Like Batista said a few years ago, WrestleMania 35, the build-up leading to his match with Triple H. He said, give me what I want. Y'all gonna give me what I want now. You know what I'm saying? Because now y'all backed into a corner. Y'all don't have available wrestlers to just throw to Randy Orton for WrestleMania. And when I checked the card out earlier to see what I was missing, I kind of looked at the roster a little bit too. So again, I'll get into the roster and the fantasy booking more tomorrow, because I do kind of see, again, like I say, I understand his dynamics of why they had to book certain matches. And when I looked at the roster, that roster is kind of short, man. You know, but again, we'll get into that part tomorrow, because that's a whole nother situation in itself. But back to Randy, this is golden. This is a golden opportunity, and I say that because, you know, us as wrestling fans, the WWE doesn't just have available bodies to just put anybody in the ring with them. And if you're a fan of the WWE, which I know you are if you're watching this, because other than that, ain't no reason for you to even watch this video. The rumors, I don't think they're rumors anymore. The WWE has signed Rusev. They have signed Aleister Black. And I couldn't be more excited for both guys to be back with the company, because, again, I'm a true fan. Those are two of my favorite wrestlers. And I hated that they had to even go to AEW. And that's no knock on AEW. I'm not that guy either. I'm not an AEW hater. I'm not a WWE hater. I'm a professional wrestler lover. So, again, as a true fan, certain things just bother me. And that bothers me when guys that are so talented, like a Rusev, like a Aleister Black, they should never have to lead the company at all. I thought Aleister Black was going to be at the top of this company after his NXT run. So to bring me to Randy Orton, this is probably like, you know, in a weird way, again, not to say that it's good what happened to Kevin Owens, but for Randy Orton and his legacy, no pun intended, and history, Randy is about to give us a classic, because I'm predicting that either Aleister Black or Rusev will be his opponent. Now, I know I'm getting into fantasy booking tomorrow, but I'm just going to give y'all a little bit of that snippet. And a lot of people online have been saying that as well, like they predicting the same thing. I've read a couple comments, and they've been predicting that too, because it seems like the obvious choice, right? And I hope the WWE goes that route, because it'd be foolish not to. This is almost like earlier when I explained that one of my favorite matches was Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes from WrestleMania 38. That was one of the things that made that match so special, is Seth Rollins had a mystery opponent, kind of like the same thing they're building up for Randy. Now it's just a mystery opponent. We don't know who it'll be. Adding that element to it for Cody and Seth at WrestleMania 38, again, that was almost the best thing for Seth Rollins, you know, and that's why I get the same feeling for Randy. And they shouldn't feel like, oh, they're recycling that type of thing, because y'all already recycling things that we don't want to see. So at least if you're going to recycle something, this is something you recycle, because that entire mystery opponent for Seth Rollins and then it turning out to be Cody Rhodes, that set the entire stage for everything Cody Rhodes is doing now. It was just a special moment, and then they did a great job at keeping that momentum just as special for these past 3 or 4 years. So that's why I'm so excited for Randy Orton, because I think we're about to get that similar type of dynamic, and I'm hoping that it's either Aleister Black or Rusev, because you can't go wrong either way. Either way, those two guys, they could give Randy Orton the classic that I feel like he rarely gets out of WrestleMania, especially at Aleister Black. Either way is good with me, but especially at Aleister Black, because I'm very high on Aleister Black. And I'll get more into that later on a future episode, because here at Worldwide Classics, like I said, I'm here to reimagine professional wrestling in a fantasy booking style. This is kind of what I always did as a wrestling fan. I would always come up with scenarios and dream matches of my own. And I've been doing that for so long, where now, fast forward, and we're in the future, I really feel like this is my lane when it comes to wrestling podcasts or wrestling shows. Here at Worldwide Classic, we want to give the fans that. We want to let our imagination take over versus some of the reality that we're getting. We want to envision certain scenarios and dream matches that we might not ever get, to be quite frank, because over the years I've seen that you might not get the matches you want because the powers to be, they don't think that it's a money match or whatever they want to call it. So here at Worldwide Classics, we're here to fill that void, and that's why tomorrow will be a big day for me to throw you my first fantasy booking, and it being for WrestleMania. But even after that, I will continue to do fantasy bookings, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. And Aleister Black, he's a big part of my plans moving forward. Like when you read the news about behind the scenes in wrestling, and they tell you that certain wrestlers are in store for a big push moving forward. If I was running my own promotion, Aleister Black would definitely be one of the top guys in my company. So over here at Worldwide Classics, Aleister Black would be at the top of that list as the talent to be the face of the company. So to go back to Randy Orton having a mystery opponent, I hope it is Aleister Black or Rusev, because Rusev is just as talented. So I would love to see either guy return, and it's just going to be huge. So shout out to Randy, shout out to Kevin Owens again, and then shout out to Aleister Black, and shout out to Rusev. Hope it's one of you guys, man, and I can't wait for y'all to give Randy that classic that he deserves, and that y'all create a WrestleMania moment that we won't forget. So the next match that I want to get into, I spoke a little bit earlier about Logan Paul, and I was not aware that he had something going on with AJ Styles. They're in the program right now, so I guess they're going to have a match at WrestleMania as well. And I already told y'all what I felt about Logan Paul. I felt like he was slept on. I felt like people don't even understand now the true potential that he possessed. And so I love this match to go into that. AJ Styles, I mean, what can you say? If you're a true fan like me, it's nothing else to be said. It's AJ Styles. He's one of the greatest wrestlers of our generation. And this is what makes me a true fan. I love the fact with any sport, I'm a fan of all sports. This is just Worldwide Classics, so I'm only concentrating on wrestling on this program. But I love a lot of sports, and I love the history of sports. And I love the fact that we're living in a time where we're seeing some of the greatest athletes to ever do it in all sports. And when we go into professional wrestling, that's what AJ Styles is. AJ Styles has been and will always be just one of the greatest professional wrestlers in the world. He's done it all. And I was so happy and I was so proud for AJ when he finally got to the WWE, because this guy, he has it all. I mean, he could really do anything inside of the ring. And of course, I could say how much I wish he was booked better in the company. I know he's dealt with injuries, so I know that's probably like a big part of it, is trying to maintain and deal with those injuries. But AJ Styles should definitely be a champion. He's good enough to have great matches without the championship, so he doesn't need a championship. But for a guy like me, he's just one of those guys that should be a champion. You know what I'm saying? At almost all times, because I wouldn't have mind seeing AJ Styles versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. There's a few ways we could have went with that. And that has nothing to do with Jey Uso. I talked about that earlier, so y'all already know how I feel about that. But to go into this match with Logan Paul and AJ Styles, I'm happy about this match because Logan Paul has been impressing me since he first got to the company. And obviously he's been impressing the company too, because they're keeping him in a high-profile match. Every match since he's been there, WrestleMania-wise, has been high-profile, and as it should be. And this is no different. This is like the best opponent I feel like he could have had. If it wasn't CM Punk or a few other people, this literally was the best match for Logan Paul, was putting him in the ring with the man himself, the phenomenal AJ Styles. AJ Styles is just my guy. Like I said, I don't even know how to contextualize that, his importance to the wrestling business. He's somebody that I would have to spend an entire episode just breaking down all his accomplishments. But the thing that I just love about AJ Styles is, after all this time, he still got it. You know, when you do the type of move set that AJ Styles has, it's difficult to be able to keep doing that in your 40s, your mid 40s, whatever his age is. You know what I'm saying? We just all know that we not young like we used to be, me included. So, you know, we getting up there in age. So to see him do the things that he's doing, even after the injuries, it's just like, I feel like there's only few people that really have like great ring IQ, you know, and it's a lot of it's a few ring generals, no pun intended with Gunther, but it's a lot of ring generals. AJ Styles just have the IQ. And then when you look at wrestlers that's in this generation, no matter what company, you can see the AJ Styles influence in all of the wrestlers, women and men. You just see it. And I'm pretty sure if you spoke to these wrestlers, they would have AJ Styles somewhere in their Mount Rushmore of the greatest. Because along with people like Daniel Bryan and CM Punk and Samoa Joe, you know, of this last generation, over the last 10 years or 15 years, whatever you want to say, they have been the greatest like wrestlers technically in the ring, in my opinion at least. It's nothing that those guys can't do. So to see AJ Styles still getting a spot in WrestleMania after everything he's battled through to get back, I'm happy for AJ. I'm happy for Logan Paul. Like I say, after the break, all of these matches that I found out were on the card, I'm happy with. That still doesn't negate from what I said earlier today. Like, that don't change the fact of nothing. It's just now I could breathe a little bit easier now going into WrestleMania. Now that I know I'm going to get a few matches that I absolutely love. You know, and that's all I asked for as a true fan. Like, this is important. WrestleMania is important to me. So I just need certain matches for me. Like, I have moments for myself. You know, certain matches that I watch is just inspiration for me. That's another reason why I love sports. Sports are very inspirational for everything I do, because we're seeing men and women that's chasing their dream. They're getting up every morning and putting in the work with no excuses. And in a business like professional wrestling, they're barely at home. I mean, I know now things have changed with the new regime, and they're making things more comfortable for the wrestlers in terms of schedule and things of that nature. But us as true fans, we know, like, the life of a wrestler is different than any other sport, because every other sport has an off season, and the WWE is going 365. So, excuse me. So with that being said, I'm definitely looking forward to these matches. So with that being said, I'm definitely looking forward to these last 4 or 5 matches that I mentioned. I'm looking forward to that. WrestleMania is the pinnacle, it's the Super Bowl of professional wrestling. These are the matches that we should be having. These last 4 or 5 matches that I talked about, that's WrestleMania. And AJ Styles should always be a huge part of WrestleMania. And I know that him and Logan Paul, they might steal the show. If they don't steal the show, they definitely gonna have one of the better matches that night. And I'm pretty sure that will be a WrestleMania moment for myself. So shout out to AJ Styles. Like I say, one of my favorites, one of the best that ever do it. It's an honor and a privilege to watch you still be able to do it. And it's going to be a sad day when you retire, man, because I know it's coming up for you eventually. I think I've seen a couple things where you spoke on that. So it's just going to be a sad day to see you go. It's going to be a sad day to see a couple guys go, just like it was when Shawn Michaels had to retire. That was a sad day for me, because Shawn Michaels is in that same vein of being the greatest of his era, if not of all times. And AJ Styles, he fits that category. AJ Styles fits that category to a T. So again, shout out to Logan Paul, shout out to AJ Styles. I'm excited to see that match. Excited to see what y'all do. So with that being said, I think we can move on to what will be the actual main event, the night 2 main event. And like I said earlier in the program, the night 2 main event is the main event. And with that being said, we already knew and know that it will be John Cena versus Cody Rhodes for the Undisputed Championship. And I don't have a problem with this match either. It's like the matches today that I realized was on the card is like, I really don't have a problem with a lot of those matches, the ones that I'm mentioning now. And this being the main event, I don't really have a problem with that because it's John Cena's last year. And I've never been a big John Cena fan. And there's no disrespect to John. Like, I could appreciate what he's done for professional wrestling because as a true fan, you know, I understand the nuances of the business in terms of having a top star. So I can't argue that. You know, we've all seen it. Like, John Cena was their top star for over a decade, and it was his time. And, you know, I just had to grow to accept that. But during that time, I never was really a John Cena fan for a lot of different reasons. You know, he's talented. Obviously, we know that. Super talented. IQ through the roof. Always give good promos. His promo work has always been high quality. The confidence. You know, a lot of things he's done has been great. But then on the flip side of that, it's a lot of things where I feel like I don't know. You know, I ain't even going to get into that part. I ain't going to get into that part, at least not right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to critique John Cena's career, but I will critique this matchup between him and Cody Rhodes. I love the heel turn with The Rock being involved, and I know a lot of people online had a problem with that. And as I alluded to earlier, for some reason, when it comes to The Rock, like, he just gets a lot of unwanted criticism and like, not even unwanted, but like, I don't understand why. I feel like it's unnecessary. The Rock is one of the biggest stars in wrestling, period. No matter what company, no matter what era. So, you know, I'm going to do a whole episode on certain wrestlers moving forward. And The Rock would definitely be one of my episodes. So I don't even want to get too deep into that. I don't want to spend too much time on that one today. But The Rock being involved and John Cena turning heel, I felt like that was the best way to go about it, you know, because I've seen that some people have said that, you know, John Cena could have just turned heel on his own. Like, John Cena could have just did that whole angle without The Rock being involved. And I get that. I understand that. That's understandable. But that's only when people try to minimize The Rock's impact on professional wrestling and how much fans love The Rock. Because the internet is the internet. And I know what Triple H said about it not being a real place. And I wouldn't agree with that. I just think that a lot of people on the internet just think that they're geniuses, or, you know, they just have the insight that, you know, other people fail to have. Or that the internet, you know, they speak out of turn, but that's just some people. But then you have a lot of intellectuals on the internet that are like me. Like, they're not trying to tear it down. We just simply fans of it and passionate about it. Like, just because I'm not a professional wrestler and I'm not in the WWE, that shouldn't negate from the fact of the passion I have for the business. Because in another lifetime, I felt like I could be in the WWE in some capacity, even if I wasn't an actual wrestler. You know, I think I could have been a great manager. I think I could have been a great commentator. I think I could have been a great interviewer. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different jobs. A great writer. So, you know, I do kind of think that that's a little disheartening when you hear the people that's in the business, you know, kind of minimize some of the fans that really have a true passion for it. Because just because we're not employed with the company don't mean that we don't love it just as much, if not more, than the actual people that work for the company. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think about it. I don't work for WWE. And I know they think people are just so fanned out, whereas, like, damn, you know, they just love the product. So, of course, they would be, you know, of course they would love WWE. You know what I'm saying? You know, they could go that route and get cocky with it, have that ego about it. But, you know, it has nothing to do with them. Professional wrestling was around before WWE. It's just a sport that was here and will continue to be here. And a lot of us are just true fans of it. You guys were true fans, you know, whether it's Triple H, whether it's Jim Cornette, a lot of the people that I hear who give these scathing reviews on the marks or the fans or whatever, you know, I get it, because a lot of fans just talk or they talk about things not really being knowledgeable about it, and I understand that. But me, I really take it serious like you guys take it serious. You know, I really am invested into it in a way that maybe I shouldn't be this invested into professional wrestling, but I am. So I do think that's kind of a cheap shot to just dismiss wrestling fans' opinion just because in y'all eyes we're just fans. You know what I mean? But it's more than that. Without us, it would be no WWE, because you guys love to say that in certain situations about how none of this would exist without the fans. But then when you're getting critiqued by fans, then it's almost like being hypocritical, because then it's like, oh, well, the fans don't know. They just talking. So it's like it can't be both. You know what I'm saying? And y'all know that. It's like we can't be in our feelings when you hear from knowledgeable people. So when you guys hear me talk, that's why I'm kind of going all over the place, talking about certain wrestlers or certain matches, is because I just want all of my fans to know that's watching me right now that I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of those guys that's just going to sit here and talk and try to, you know, just be negative about WWE or any other company. I'm giving you insight and knowledge, and hopefully I'm doing it in an honorable way. I want this to be an informative and an insightful program for wrestling fans, and I want y'all to know that y'all dealing with a true fan. So anyway, I took us way off track. So back to the point. John Cena, Cody Rhodes. We know what John Cena's done for the company, and this is his last year, so you know you want to give him a big send-off. So at WrestleMania, this was a nice way to go, because his last promo, not from this past Monday, but the Monday last week, where he was telling Cody Rhodes about, you know, he thought that Cody Rhodes was a cookie cutter version of what a real champion is, and that John Cena plans on taking the championship home and being the last real champion. Now, I like that. I love that part of it. I love that part of this build-up, that he feel like he could take the belt home forever. I love that. That was a great way to go with it, you know, because it makes all the sense in the world. That's long-term storytelling at its best, because he's dominated for so long, and then now he's about to retire, but he feels like the company isn't being left in good hands in terms of the champion. So now he wants to take his ball and go home, as they say. He wants to take the title and go home. I like that, man. I like it a lot. And that promo for last week, let me say this. All of the promos since John Cena turned heel between him and Cody Rhodes is just like this year's WrestleMania. I just have not been feeling it for some reason. I just have not been feeling the emotion and the passion that I'm supposed to be feeling going into this type of main event for WrestleMania. And it's sad, man, because as I've said earlier with John Cena, that was always one of his strongest traits, was his promo work, his mic work. And he's always been a passionate promo guy. And he's been passionate with these promos, but they just been falling flat. They really have been. And like I said, me personally, I'm not really a big John Cena fan. So I never really liked a lot of his promos in terms of the substance of it. The way he delivers it, you know, he's one of the best when it comes to delivery and passion. But the actual promos have always been kind of corny. They always been lame as hell. To me, you know what I'm saying? That's why I never really been a big fan of John Cena. I always thought a lot of that was corny. So, and again, it's no knock on John Cena, you know what I mean? Because it's a joint effort. He's not coming up with all of his character work per se. You know what I'm saying? That's a team effort. But I always just thought a lot of things that he did was just whack as hell for him to be the face of the company. It's almost like how they did with Roman Reigns at first, before he turned into the tribal chief, when he was the big dog or whatever. That shit was corny too. It was just like, I hated that whole thing for Roman Reigns, because as I alluded to earlier, I'm a Shield guy. I'm a Shield guy through and through. Even though the group ain't been together in years, I'm still a Shield guy. And I hated to see Roman Reigns in that way, because it was just like, what are we doing, man? Like, this is so corny. This is lame as hell. And I'm glad that they finally fixed that and got it together. But I will admit, you know, even though we done talking about the triple threat match with Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins, I will say that not only has a lot of that been lackluster, but I don't like the way Roman Reigns has been booked. over these past few months. Like ever since he's turned babyface with the Tribal Chief character, to me the character has turned stale now. And I was afraid of this when he dropped the title to Cody last year. I was afraid this would happen because that was the best thing going in professional wrestling, was the bloodline. It was and Roman Reigns' dominance over the empire, over the business. And I loved every minute of that. Like, it seemed like every time they just hit a home run. And his confidence was through the roof, promo work was through the roof. But ever since he turned babyface, it's kind of like we're reverting back to the Roman Reigns of old. And so again, that brings me back to John Cena. For some reason, the WWE, they just book lame characters to be the face of the company. Until now, like now, Cody Rhodes is pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Like Cody Rhodes is somebody that I was a fan of way before AEW. And since we talking about John Cena and Cody Rhodes, I guess let me expand on that a little bit. One of my favorite WrestleMania matches to go with my list that I've been alluding to, one of them that you could put on there is WrestleMania 27, Cody Rhodes versus Rey Mysterio. That was one of my favorite matches, even at that year's WrestleMania, till now. The character work that Cody Rhodes was doing at that time, he was wearing the mask, and he was like, I don't even know, I guess deranged or whatever words you want to use, but he was going through something, you know what I'm saying? He kind of snapped in his own right, and he felt like, they messed up his face when he was dashing Cody Rhodes, and so now he had to put this mask on, and he felt ugly, and so that made him want to take it out on other wrestlers. And then the fact that Rey Mysterio was wearing the mask, I think it was something that he alluded to in that, and why he was targeting Rey Mysterio. But whatever, I'm not going to get into that too much. I'm just only bringing that up to say, like, this is how long I've been a Cody Rhodes fan. Like, I've been a fan of Cody way before the transition has been happening and his character has been developing. He's always had the potential, in my opinion. And I implore you, you know what I'm saying? I recommend it. That's another WrestleMania rewind. WrestleMania 27, Cody Rhodes, Rey Mysterio. Check it out. It was a good match. Even the finish of the match was great too. So I've always been a fan of Cody. We finally getting guys that are the stars of the company, but they still have an appeal to all of the fans. You know what I'm saying? Because the guys, the true fans like me, we hard to impress when it comes to that. Because a lot of times it's like they pick faces of the company to appease the kids. And there's nothing wrong with that because it's a family company, the WWE. So we get that. Y'all trying to build up the next generation of WWE fans. So again, certain nuances of the business is not lost on me. So I know why a lot of the top guys play like this lame character. I'm just glad that with the Tribal Chief and then with Cody Rhodes, we've been getting champions that we all can enjoy, equally. So I've never had a problem with Cody Rhodes being in this spot, even though me personally, I wish Roman Reigns didn't drop the title last year at WrestleMania. I felt like he should have dropped it eventually to Cody. But I think they should have surprised us more because we all kind of expected Cody to win. It was too predictable. So I thought Roman should have won last year's WrestleMania, and then they just picked some random time for Cody to surprise everybody and take the title. So I'm good with Cody being the champion, the undisputed WWE champion going into WrestleMania, and I'm good with John Cena being the challenger in this capacity with him retiring at the end of the year. So I really don't have too much of a knock about the match. I just have a knock about the promo and the build up to WrestleMania. Like it could have been a lot more. But last week's WrestleMania, last week's Monday Night Raw, when I saw the promo between John Cena and Cody Rhodes, it was funny because the first thing I could think when I saw the promo was, in the words of a wise man, was finally. Finally, we're getting the type of promo that WrestleMania deserves. And I was thoroughly impressed with Cody and John Cena. I thought John Cena made a lot of good points, to the point where the fans, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were actually kind of like, some of them were actually cheering for John Cena. I appreciated that we finally had got an authentic championship promo going into WrestleMania, because I feel like after the heel turn, they had so much momentum. Like, the whole world was watching. And again, to the people that can't understand why The Rock had to be involved in that, is because it made the whole world watch. Of course, people would have tuned in for John Cena doing that, for him turning heel. But with The Rock being a part of it, it just added this whole different layer to it, because who would have ever thought that you would even see those two guys together, you know? And the fact that The Rock hasn't been involved with any of this since then, it just adds more confusion to, you know, for me. Because again, I don't know what the hell going on with WrestleMania this year. And the fact that y'all don't even have The Rock involved when he was the catalyst in this storyline is just weird. So again, you know, it's things maybe beyond my comprehension. Maybe The Rock has other obligations. You know, maybe he's going through something personally, who knows. But if this was just a creative thing within WWE, y'all got to get this together, baby. Like, y'all got to do something about this for real, because the inconsistency is weird, you know, because again, y'all will sit here and really be mad at fans for critiquing the product, but then things are happening that's just unexplainable. There's no reason why we shouldn't have, like, we just haven't seen The Rock since the heel turn. He was a big part of, you know, wanting Cody Rhodes to sell his soul, right? That was the thing that got the whole ball rolling with this segment. So how do you just disappear? And again, we can't look at The Rock and point fingers at him unless he had other obligations, unless he's going through something personally. But knowing the track record of WWE, I think the pressure, man, I think the fans have really been like talking him out of a lot of things. Now, I could be completely off base with that. Maybe the fan feedback isn't the reason why The Rock is involved. But whatever it is disappointing. And disappointing seems to be the word of the day. I'm really disappointed that The Rock hasn't been involved, because if you allow me to get off track one more time, last year's WrestleMania, as I've alluded to earlier, was underwhelming as well. And it seems like we're about to have a repeat. I just didn't like the energy of last year's WrestleMania. And then certain people in WWE was saying that like it was cold outside the first night, so that kind of played a factor. And it might have. You know what I'm saying? That might very well be true, but I don't think that was the deciding factor of why night one didn't live up to the hype, because I think night two was a little bit better. But anyway, back to my point about The Rock at last year's WrestleMania, when it was the main event and they had the tag team match with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes versus The Rock and Roman Reigns, when they were doing the entrances and not Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes entrance, because even that was disappointing. And Cody Rhodes has a pretty good entrance. But I remember them coming out first, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, and even the entrances just lacked passion and excitement. But when The Rock had his thing going, because they did like some type of, I don't even know what you would call it, but it was like some type of special segment leading into his entrance. And his entrance was just incredible to me. Like, I loved it. I loved the whole final boss is loading, whatever they was doing. Whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know the exact terms for what I was seeing. I just know that as I was seeing it, in my mind, I said that this is WrestleMania. Like, now is WrestleMania. And it's funny because that was the main event of night one. So a whole night had went by. But when The Rock was making his entrance, that's when I had the feeling. Like, how he hold up his arm and do all this. That's how I was feeling when he was making his entrance. You know, that y'all added the fire. He had his People's Championship, which a lot of people, again, just like got an issue with him having that championship. I didn't have an issue with him having that championship. You know, they say that's for his ego and all of this stuff. I didn't feel like it was for that. They said it was a gift from Muhammad Ali and his estate and Muhammad Ali's wife. And he is the people's champion. That's been one of his monikers. He's the people's champ. So he's playing a heel. He was playing a heel persona last year. You know what I'm saying? As the final boss. So that actually goes into the character. Like, if you want to say he had an ego about it and he just needed a championship just to flex, that's the point. That was the point of the final boss. Like, he's egotistical. He know he's a legend. He know he's the guy. So he felt like he should have a championship too. He's just as important as any other wrestler. That wasn't a real life ego. That's part of the character. But I'm only bringing that up to say, like, it was just such I love that shot that they had of him when he was standing in the middle of the ring of fire holding up the People's Championship. Like, it was just a great shot, man. Everything about that segment, you know, that entrance, it was WrestleMania. The match was what it was. I don't really want to critique that too much, but just that entrance, you know. So I'm only saying that to say you don't have a lot of star power in the WWE. You really don't. And I'll get more into that in later episodes, but you really don't have the star power that you think you have in WWE. We have a lot of great talent over there, but we don't have that star power. And again, that's why I understand why certain matches are booked the way they're booked, like the Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins match. But again, I'll get more into that tomorrow when we fantasy book. We'll do a deeper dive into those type of things. But to go back to the point about The Rock being involved in this year's WrestleMania, it's just disappointing that we haven't seen him since the heel turn, because when he's involved with professional wrestling in any capacity, to me, it makes the product that much more better. People talked a lot of shit, and they gave a lot of hate about his involvement last year when they thought he was going to be in the main event. But when he did that, like that press conference they did in Vegas, and he slapped Cody, that was one of the greatest things I had ever seen. And all of the fans that was upset and that had all these negative comments to say about The Rock, they switched their tone when he changed his character up, you know. And again, I get more into details about what I feel about The Rock's career in a later episode. But again, to me, he just keeps showing why he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Not just sometime, not this time, of all time. Because to be able to come and introduce that type of energy into wrestling, especially when we thought the energy was already there with the Bloodline and Cody. But to me, it wasn't there, because even that, we were getting a rematch again. We were getting Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the second year in a row. WWE loves to recycle. You know what I'm saying? And we were getting the Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns again, because for some reason the WWE just loves to recycle. So when The Rock was inserted into that last year, that gave that whole storyline the boost that it needed, because it was just going to essentially just be a rematch. But The Rock added so much more. He added so much more allure to the match and to the story. The promos were on fire. Every week was almost must see. You had to tune in to hear what he had to say and to see what Cody was going to do. And nobody could deny that. I mean, you can if you want to, but you'll be a liar, you know. And even this year, you know, to try to take away or minimize his importance and impact to the John Cena Cody Rhodes storyline, it's just irresponsible, man. And it's really a shame that, like, as a true fan, that you would have some wrestling fans that's just speaking out of ignorance, for real, because that's ignorant to me, to minimize The Rock's importance. And I could argue the fact that that's why the promos between John Cena and Cody Rhodes haven't been that good, because you're missing the main ingredient, the catalyst of the whole situation. You know, you could say what you want about Cody Rhodes and John Cena. You could try to say that they're the greatest of all time and this, that, and the third. All that is up to debate. So everybody will have their own personal favorites at the end of the day. But to try to put John Cena on the level of The Rock, again, it's just a little bit irresponsible. Yeah, John Cena was that guy. He was that Rock-like type character for his generation, meaning the top star. But he was no Rock. You know what I'm saying? A lot, like you don't have a lot of wrestlers that could ever live up to what The Rock has done. You can't really touch The Rock on the microphone. Like, period. I don't care how you try to chop it up, who you try to say got potential or who might could do something. Nobody has shown that they could consistently get on that microphone and rock it every time. The Rock has been rocking that microphone ever since he started to get his character together with the Nation of Domination back in the day. He never looked back. Once he started getting those promos going, he never looked back. I don't remember seeing too many bad Rock promos. But I've seen a lot of them from John Cena. And lately I'm not going to say bad promos from Cody Rhodes, but when Cody Rhodes first came back to WWE, every promo was on fire. Like every promo was just, I don't even know the word for it, honestly. Like Cody was like on next level of storytelling with his promos for a while when he first came back to the WWE. But ever since he's had the championship, again, is one of those things. It's like it's hard to keep that momentum going. And so I haven't been hearing the level, the quality of promo that I was hearing before from Cody. But last week, Monday Night Raw, they got it together. It was a little bit better. But overall, it's just like, what's going on, man? For this to be John Cena's last year, it's like you got to go big. You know, don't just have him turn heel, you know what I'm saying, by doing what he did by a low blow. Like, now it's time to start doing some heel things. Not just talking, like trying to sound like a bad guy and telling the fans he hate them. I mean, come on, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, let's grow up, man. You know what I mean? Like, let's grow up. That's the thing that's supposed to be so riveting, is him telling the crowd that he hate us and it's our fault. I mean, we've been there and done that. Every time somebody turn heel, that's what we doing. You know, you're talking to a true fan. You're not talking to somebody that don't know what's going on. You know, if we're gonna be innovative and change certain things since Vince McMahon is gone, let's really do that. Because I don't feel like that's what's being done. I feel like overall, just certain things are being tweaked to make it seem like the company is going in such a different direction. But when you really look at it, we're still on a Vince McMahon path. And there's nothing wrong with that either. But it's just, I thought we were gonna start like really getting back into like that Attitude Era type of booking. Like, you know, it was gonna be no limit on the type of things that we can see. We have not seen anything from John Cena. You know, we could have even involved other wrestlers. I mean, I know he still has like to the end of this year to officially retire, but he could still get involved with this build up with other wrestlers, like just doing heel things, you know, attacking people, talking about people, interrupting people. You know what I'm saying? Like something to, again, like just really make us feel like, damn, John Cena on one. Like John Cena tripping, you know what I'm saying? Like we could do that, but we haven't. Y'all just give her the microphone, let him say a few things, tell the fans how much is our fault. And it's like, man, grow up. Grow up, not John Cena, but the company. Like, this the best y'all could do. Like, let's grow the hell up, man. Y'all could have came way better than that. And it's a shame that The Rock is not a part of it, because The Rock would have shown certain things of what I'm mentioning. Like, we could have got a breath of fresh air, is what I'm saying. I could argue the fact that John Cena has given better promos as a babyface. His babyface promos was more passionate, more fired up, more accurate than what they're trying to manufacture, because that's what this feels like. I feel like it's just a manufactured thing for the sake of, oh man, let's turn you heel, let's do something big for your last year. And there was nothing wrong with that, but it's something wrong in the way that you guys are executing that plan. So I'm happy that the match is happening for John Cena and for Cody Rhodes, because this is a big part of WWE history, and I'm sure we'll look back on it, especially as Cody continues to ascend to the top of the WWE and really make his case for one of the greatest of all times. This is an important piece of that journey, is him having his match with John Cena at WrestleMania. It's probably not still the match that like I would have picked or I would have booked if I were the booker, but you know, of course, who am I? I'm just a true fan. So with that being said, I think that's about it, man. I think I covered the matches that I wanted to. I know it's more matches on the card, and no disrespect to those people, but I'm just not even gonna get into that. Like, because a lot of the matches that I mentioned before the break were all matches that I felt like needed to be revised. The matches that I'm mentioning after the break, these were all matches that I'm actually looking forward to it. So with that being said, guys, I appreciate y'all, man. I know this has been a long video. You know, I broke it down into some parts, but I appreciate y'all. This is my first wrestling podcast, wrestling show, worldwide classics. You know, I really love professional wrestling. I really love the business of it. And if I was in a certain position, I would try to go after my own. I would try to go after my own promotion. You know, I really would. That's how much I'm really passionate about the business, is I feel like I could give the fans the type of matches that they could talk about for the rest of their life. And that was my whole idea of founding Worldwide Classics. You know, it's just a fantasy promotion, but who knows? One day, you might see me on TV. You might see me on YouTube having my own wrestling promotion sometime in the near future. Who knows what the future holds? But I appreciate you guys for watching, man. It really means a lot. It's my first wrestling show, Worldwide Classics. Something I just wanted to come up with for the fans that's like me. You know, the fans that feel underwhelmed, even though we have all of this wrestling going on in the world, even though we have all of these promotions, it just still feel like we're not getting the best of professional wrestling. And it's a shame because the talent is there. We got talent all over the place. Each promotion has extensive talent rosters. So it should be no excuse. And I guess that's part of my criticism of a lot of things that's going on in wrestling. Is just really no excuse for it. You know, it's too many gifted athletes out here, men and women, for us to have such a lackluster card. You know, especially with people making it seem like Vince McMahon was the problem. Well, Vince McMahon is not a part of the company anymore, so a lot of people put the blame on Vince McMahon for a lot of things that was going wrong in professional wrestling, but Vince McMahon has been gone for a couple years now, so you know, I'll let y'all think about that. But again, here at Worldwide Classics, man, we just appreciate all the support. Appreciate everybody that watched. For us over here, Full-Time Digital House, this is Worldwide Classics. I'm Southside Tre, and I'll holler at y'all soon.